Runsmith Enterprises presents episode 23 of Topics in Endurance Sports. I'm your host, Tim. Today is Thursday, January 3rd, 2019, the first recording of 2019. Today's topic will be a race I did called the Stone Steps 50K, and there is also a 27K to go along with it. You can find out more information about me at my website at runsmith.net. Email, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and some information about my coaching services. I will repeat this at the end of the episode. Let's get right into today's topic. The Stone Steps 50K and 27K, which you can find at Stone Steps 50K. The 50 is a 50, all one word, stonesteps50k.com. I will also put a link to that in the show notes. The race was on October 29th, 2018, a little over 2 months ago, so I'm still behind. After this episode, I'll be 2 races behind in my race coverage. I've been behind for quite a while now. With luck, I will be caught up. My next race is not for about 6 weeks, so maybe I can get everything caught up by then. So like I said, October 29th, 2018, that was on a Sunday. I'm not sure why they do it on Sunday, but that's okay. It's in Cincinnati, Ohio, right in Cincinnati, Ohio. It's a park inside the city. The park is called Mount Airy. It's a very hilly park with lots of steps and hills, as you will find out. I went down. I don't know if there's pre-race pickup the day before or not. I don't think so. I think you just packet pickup is the morning of the race. I should also know how many people did this, and I don't. Probably 100-ish total, maybe 150, something like that between the 2 races. You drive down to Mount Airy Park, and there's a place in there called the Oval. And it's an island, not an island in a lake, but an island that the road goes around all the way around it. So everyone calls it the Oval. Sometimes if you're meeting friends to go run there, you'll say, meet at the Oval. And right in the middle of the Oval, which is a grass hill in the middle of this Oval, is where the start-finish was. Kind of a cool little start-finish. And there is a shelter there. And I parked right at the Oval because I am extremely early. So I not only parked on the Oval, but the race itself, you have to run off of the Oval across the road onto trails. I parked my car right next to a trail, one of the trails that you run on. So that means I literally went a few feet from my car periodically, and I could use my car as an aid station. So that was kind of nice. There was a lot of parking actually on the Oval itself. It's the road, but they allow you to park there. And if you didn't park there, there was a parking lot just like an eighth of a mile away, very close. So there's plenty of parking here for this race right at the start, which is kind of nice. The weather on October 29th was cool, pretty darn nice weather. I think it was in the 40s. Can't complain about that at all. There was a threat of rain, and we did get a little tiny bit. I mean, really tiny, a few minutes of rain, literally. But otherwise, it was a great day for running. The race director is David Korfman. Everybody in the area knows David Korfman. He is an extremely accomplished ultra runner. And by chance, and I really mean by chance, 95% by chance, I will be interviewing him in 2 episodes from now because we did the same race. We both did the Chattanooga race. He did the 100-miler. I did the 50-miler. Actually, I've already interviewed him. So that's done. And 2 episodes from now will be an interview with David Korfman. And just to give you some examples of what he's done Western States in under 24 hours. He's done many 100-mile races. Some of his really big accomplishments are that race called a Race for the Ages, where you run. It's another Lazarus Lake race where you run a number of hours corresponding to your age. I think it's that one. Yeah, I think so. Although it could be another one. Anyway, he's got like the course record the age group record of like 200 miles. really crazy. He's tied with another local runner, Greg Trapp, a friend of his. Something like that. But anyway, the guy's run 200 miles at a shot more than once. He's done the McNaughton, or I should say the Potawatomi 200 and the 150 in Illinois. So the guy can really, really run and can really, really run well. And on top of that, he's a super nice guy. Everybody likes David, fun guy. And he is the race director and has been for, I don't know how long. The race has been going for quite a while. So I don't know if he started this. I probably should know. But he's been the race director as far as I know. It's actually my second time doing this. I did the 27K 2 years ago. I know it's weird that it's 50K and 27K. I did the 27K 2 years ago. I was going to do the 50, but I don't think I was ready. If you know me at all, I don't run a whole lot in the fall usually. The last couple of years have been exceptions to this, but normally I don't do a lot of fall running. I try to do cyclocross, but the last couple of years has been more running in the fall. So usually I'm not ready to do even a 50K in the fall, especially a very hilly one like this. So 2 years ago, I did the 27K. I was actually signed up to do the 50K last year, but I was injured and I couldn't do it. So that's why I'm doing it this year. The race itself is cheap. That's all I can say. It's cheap. It's $40 for the 50K if you register early and $30 for the 27K. He should charge more than that. I don't know why he doesn't. If you miss early registration, it's like another $10 for those. But $40 for a 50K. I put on a 50K in Iowa, and I charged $45, and I thought that was like the cheapest 50K in the world. So these are the two cheapest 50Ks I know. The one I had put on and this one. And by cheap, it doesn't mean cheap, right? It just means inexpensive. You are more than getting your money's worth out of this. One reason I think that does kind of help is the way this is set up. There's only one aid station, which is kind of nice. So they don't have to, not that that really theoretically changes the cost that much, but it's kind of nice that he's just got one spot for the volunteers. And the reason for that is because of the way the course is set up. So you start at the oval, and you'll run a figure eight where one loop is a little over 5 miles and the other loop is a little over 3 miles. And you just alternate those back and forth. So for example, the 50K, you do 5, 3, 5, 3, 5, 3, 5. And that adds up to a little over 31 miles. So it's 4 5-mile loops and 3 3-mile loops. Got it? And you start with the 5 and end with the 5. The 27K is 5, 3, 5, 3. So that's why it's 27, just because of the way the loops are set up. So you can choose either one to do. And the 50K started at 8 a.m. and the 27K at 8:30 a.m. They give $100 to the winners for the, I think maybe just the 50K. For the male and female winners, get $100. And if you break the course record, you get $100. And I'll skip ahead and let you know there was a course record this year. There's also awards for the top 3 in age groups. Again, I'm talking 50K. I don't know about the 27K. I think they were like ceramic mugs. I don't know now. Sorry. I should know. But and they were like 10-year age groups, but the top 3 in each age group got an award. Obviously, I don't know because that didn't apply to me. And it should also be known that the proceeds went to the Cincinnati Parks Board, which is pretty nice as well. So he's not pocketing anything. All right, so there's some of the background of the race. As I said, the only aid station is at the start-finish, but you see it constantly because the most you're going to run is a little over 5 miles because you start with that first 5-mile loop, a little over 5 miles. You come back to the aid station, run the 3-mile loop, come back to the aid station, and repeat over and over. So it makes that really convenient. And like I said, if you have something at your car or if you have a drop bag, you can have a drop bag there. You're going to see it all the time. So it's really nice. You may be thinking, does this get boring because it's kind of same loops? No, not at all. You're not out there long enough for this to get boring at all. It's great. The aid station is pretty basic. It had your peanut butter and jelly. I think they had Heed to drink and Gatorade. I think they had some soup. I tend not to look at soup a whole lot. I'm not a soup guy, but I think they had some soup or something hot like that. And they also had, chips and M&Ms and gummy bears or some of these other things as well. They didn't have gels. Maybe they did. I don't know. I can't remember. I always bring gels, and if races have them, that's a little bonus. But usually I bring my own. I always bring my own. The volunteers were great. I interview my friend Connie, and she brings up a couple of the volunteers. They did a great job. They were there the whole time. As I said, David's super nice. He's always there, encouraging people to keep going. I think there's a cutoff. I don't even know what it is. I think it's 9 hours. 9 hours? But I think David is the type of guy that if you're struggling to make the 9 hours, he doesn't leave. He's still there for however long you're going to be there. He's going to be there to help you out. Maybe not forever. I'm sure he probably doesn't want you starting a lap after 9 hours. But if you're still out there late, he's going to hang out. He and the volunteers are going to hang out and wait. The course itself has very little road. There's one little part on it, like a quarter mile at most, of all of the 8 miles of trail. There's maybe like a quarter mile of road or something. You're running across roads a few times and along a road a few times. So the start, like I said, it's at the oval and you're at the top, all right? The shelter's at the very top. So you start by running down the little hill of the oval, across a road, and then along a road for about a half a mile or so, and then you jump onto a trail. So I'll kind of go through the trails. Just let me say right now that there's a lot of technical running, a lot of rocks and roots, and a lot of up and down and steps. Okay? So there you go. I just described the whole course, but let me give a little more detail. So the first mile is pretty runnable. It's a single track dirt trail. You got some rocks and some roots thrown in, and you're rarely running on anything perfectly flat, but you're, nothing major up and down in this first mile or so. One thing we had to contend with was mud. It had rained a lot during the week. In fact, David was sending out emails, I think, saying, this is going to be a little funky because there's a lot of mud and such on the course. And there was, but I've run it so much worse than this that it wasn't that horrible. There was no, running on a trail that turned into a creek. There was nothing like that. There was just some muddy, sloppy spots, and sometimes that was a little treacherous because it'd be muddy, sloppy, downhill with rocks, that type of stuff all happening at once. So there was some of that, and there was sometimes you're running through puddles and that type of thing. So you got very dirty doing this race and very muddy, but it wasn't unbelievably extreme. Nothing like Mines of Spain, which is the race I covered in the last episode. You just had to deal with running in mud, slippery, that type of thing. After that first mile, the next mile or so, it got more rocky and rooty. There was these rocks that are imagine plates that you eat off of, but all the plates are chipped and broken. And then you put the plates not quite vertically into the ground, but at about a 70-degree angle. They're angling at a weird way, like the rings of Jupiter at an angle sticking out of the ground. So you got these sharp, kind of sharpish, plate-sized rocks sticking out of the ground. I mean, it's really bizarre. And there was a section of this that went on for 100 yards. So it's really kind of tricky to run through that. You also had lots of other rocks and roots. And then sometimes you'd have, sharp little downhills for a couple of feet. And at the same time, it's at a tree and you're turning at the same time. This type of stuff that you can't easily just run right through. You're kind of slowing down and getting your feet positioned just right. And my point about this is there was a lot of the course where it was hard to get into a rhythm. So this was one section, this next mile or so. You couldn't get into a really great rhythm, up and down, watching your feet a lot, making sure you don't twist an ankle, dealing with mud on top of all that. Then you went down this hill, really technical to me, downhill, 50 feet down a hill, pretty difficult. I was pretty much walking it. I can't run down this stuff. So straight down a hill, and then you kind of in this little 10 feet of grassy area, you kind of go right back up, and you're at the famous Stone Steps. This is the Stone Steps 50K and 27K. So this is a long, sharp hill. When I interview Connie, she's like, oh, it's just nothing. But to me, it was a long, sharp hill. And you start going up, and you're kind of on rock as you're going up, and you're thinking, oh, the Stone Steps. Well, you don't really get to the Stone Steps for like a few minutes. You know, you're on there going and going and going. And this is hands-on knees type of thing, at least for me. This is pretty steep. And as I mentioned with Connie, these are not simple steps. They're very uneven, very irregular. Some are tall, some are short. Sometimes it's go up a step and walk a step or two, then go up another step, and sometimes it's not. And that type of thing, very uneven. But you go up for a few minutes, and then you really hit the Stone Steps. Then you're like, oh, these are actually steps, okay? So at first you're just kind of going up a hill with rocks and things, and then you hit the steps. And, you know, I should have looked at how long I really spent going, like, up a hill. I feel like it's minimum of 5 minutes, and maybe it was close to 10 minutes. Maybe you lose track of time. But it's quite a while, depending on how fast you can go. So you're going up this hill on hands on knees. You're going up there for quite a while. I mean, it's not a killer. It doesn't destroy you. It's not a mountain or anything like that. But keep in mind, you're going to do this 4 times. This is on the 5-mile loop here. You're only about halfway through the 5-mile loop itself. So you're going to do this 4 times. And this isn't the only hill. So anyway, you get up there. You get to the top. You got another mile or so of some trail that sometimes is pretty easy to run on and sometimes not. Sometimes you have some wooden bridges to go over as well. Here and there, I think you kind of want back down before you hit these wooden bridges because, of course, you're going over little creeks and things. Again, another, I believe, kind of technical downhill. And then you go up a hill that's called Gummy Bear Hill. Gummy Bear Hill. I'm not sure where it got that name. This is just a grass, rocky hill. Pretty rocky, I think, hill. So you go up that, again, steep enough that there's no running for someone like me. And, you know, again, pretty much hands on knees. Not quite. Stone Steps is the most difficult hill. So then you go up this hill. Again, it takes a good 5 minutes or something to get up there. At the very top, they have a bucket of gummy bears. I'm not sure I would want to eat one that's just sitting there in a bucket. But they're probably okay. But I guess that's why they call it Gummy Bear Hill. Or that's why they put the gummy bears there. Anyway, you get there, when you're at the top of that, you're pretty close to being done with the 5-mile loop. Maybe another 3/4 of a mile, kind of a gentle uphill, and then you get to the oval. So then you've done about that 5 miles. After there, you can go through the aid station. You kind of go up and over the oval and the other side to do the 3-mile loop, which is like on the opposite side of the 5-mile loop. It's actually a lollipop. So you start by running down, to a wooden bridge. You go over this wooden bridge, and then you have to go up, up, up. And some of this is rocky and ruddy as well. Not all very easy running. You get up to kind of a grassy area. So that first down and up is the stick of the lollipop. Then you get to a grassy area. You're still kind of running up generally, but then you go left and you're going to do the lollipop part of the candy part of the lollipop. And first you're running kind of along a road on a grass field. You go through like a frisbee thing. What do they call that? Frisbee golf or whatever. You kind of run through that a little bit, down another grass field, onto another trail again. And this is, again, rocky and ruddy. And all this business, you're kind of going down, 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 down. Quite a ways, actually. It's generally down for quite a while. Pretty gentle, but some of it's not very gentle, but most of it is, but it is rocky and ruddy. You get down, you go over kind of next to a road or over a road, and then you go up another hill. This would be the third kind of major hill. This is more grassy and a little bit less rocky, kind of the easiest hill. But again, it took me a good 5 or 10 minutes to get up it. Again, I lose track of time. Maybe it's only 5 minutes, but it's a while. I don't think it's quite hands on knees. You just have to walk up this hill. Too steep for me to run. You get up there. There's another grassy area to run through, kind of uphill, kind of a douche grade. You're not sure whether to run or walk. And then you take a right, and you do this right, and this is little gully. You run down this really steep grass hill and then straight back up the grass hill, which is kind of hard on the legs when you've done that a number of times. It's really short, but it's this little gully. Then you take it right back onto another trail. And then you're running on a trail, kind of downish a little bit, then kind of up again. This is a pretty nice trail, not too rocky or ruddy, but the running uphill, you can do some, and some you're going to walk, or at least I'm going to walk. Finally, you come out of that. This is the one road part. You come out and you're going to run on a road from like maybe a quarter mile, maybe not even that, maybe a fifth of a mile. You take a left and you're back on the stick of the lollipop again. So there you go. There's pretty much a general synopsis of the course. So you realize you got lots of rocks, lots of roots, some good uphills, some good downhills, and if you're the type that running a lot of downhills is going to trash your quads, you're going to get your quads trashed pretty well in this race. There's enough downhill to do that. And I'm sorry I don't have the elevation change. I should have that as well. I'm a failure, but it's plenty. So the first loop that I did, the 5 mile loop, again, every time I say 5, it's really 5 plus, and 3, it's 3 plus. The first 5 mile loop took me about an hour and 15 minutes. The first 8 miles, the 5 and 3, took me about 2 hours to do. So you think you have to do that 3 times, right? 5, 3, 5, 3, 5, 3, and I did the first in 2 hours. So you can tell I'm going to take more than 6 hours easily, because then you still have to do another 5 at the end of that. All right? So it's taking me 2 hours to do not even a third of the race. So not real fast. I remember there I took a potty break. There is a bathroom, not a porta potty, but a regular outhouse type thing. It's not heated or anything, but it's a regular park bathroom. I think I went to the bathroom at the end of this. And I did 2 more loops again, got done around 4:40. So you can see I was slowing down because the next 2 loops took me 2 hours and 40 minutes. First 2 loops took me 2. And I was feeling pretty sore. I'm going to use the excuse that the Mines of Spain 100K was 9 days earlier. Kind of lucky it was 9 and not like 7, because the Mines of Spain was on a Friday and the previous Friday, and this was on a Sunday. So I kind of got that extra couple of days. But nevertheless, my quads are already sore. They hadn't really completely recovered from the Mines of Spain 100K. In that episode, I talked about my arch and my left foot getting kind of injured. I could still feel that. My left knee, which I have chronic niggles with, was aching. So at this point I had done 27K, because that's what the 27K is, 5.353, which means I had about 23K to go. Excuse me, I'm going to cough here. Sorry about that. At about 23K to go yet, so I'm just a little bit over halfway done, and I was kind of hurting. I think it was during the second 5 mile loop, only the second, I think, I could be wrong here, that I got passed by the front runners, by David Riddle, who won the male 50K. He passed me, I think, kind of on a flatter section, I think maybe near the plates, what I call the plates, rocks that are like plates sticking out. And the female winner, Katie Ruhlman, she flew past me on one of those treacherous downhills, and it was unbelievable. I talk about this with Connie, but she was going like 15 feet every step, landing on treacherous rocks and mud like it was nothing, like she was just on a high school track. Unbelievable. And I think, of course, they're now on loop 3 of the 5 mile, the 4 5 miles they have to do. They're already on the 3rd time. So they're like 8 miles ahead of me here. And I'm only on the second 5 mile loop. So they're way ahead of me. So that's where they were. That's where I was when I was already getting lapped. So at the end of that 27K, the 5.353, there were thoughts of just quitting, of saying I did the 27K. but I didn't. I had 2 large loops left to do and 1 small loop. So large, small, large. And at this point, I took out the poles. I talked about those the last time at Mines of Spain. I got my poles out and I said, let's just run with the poles for the rest of the race here. I asked David, is it okay? And he's like, yeah, no problem. I kind of felt wimpy. I didn't see anybody else with poles, although I did right at the very end. But I thought the poles would help me take the weight off of my legs, my aching quads and knee and ankle, so it could help with the pain I was having. Soon after I left the aid station this time, I took some supplements. I took some Tums, a salt tab, a little caffeine, 100 milligrams of caffeine, and an Advil. I talked about this last time, that it seemed to help. So I did that here. It was right around 5 hours. And again, like last time, it seemed to help. Is this a placebo? I don't know. Which of those things is really helping? I don't think the Tums and salt tab are doing anything. I throw those in just for fun. Is it the caffeine? Is it the Advil? Last time, if you recall, I did a number of things at the same time. I changed my shoes. I took orthotics out of my shoes. I was having a lot of pain. And I took the caffeine and Advil, and things got better. So I said, well, I did 4 things. Which of the 4 helped? I don't know. Here I only did 2 things. I took caffeine and Advil, and things helped again. I also got the poles, but that wasn't where things got better last time. So is it the caffeine? Is it the Advil? I don't know, but it did seem to help. So on my 3rd running of the 5-mile loop, on the 3rd running of the 5-mile loop, that was really bad. And I was still kind of weak, all right? So, but when I started running, I should say, it felt slow and weak, but kind of after I got going, it felt better. Okay, let me back up. The 3rd time I ran the 5-mile loop did feel better. It started out poorly, but during that is when I took the Tums and the caffeine and Advil. So things started getting better during the 3rd running of the 5-mile loop. Now, it was during here we got a little tiny bit of rain. It was like 5 minutes of sprinkling. The whole time I thought it was going to rain, so I had this really light Salomon rain jacket with me the whole time in my hydration vest. But I guess I put it on, but I only needed it for a few minutes. I'm not even sure if I put it on or not. I was still running what I could run in the 3rd loop, but probably going slower. And the last short loop, I started feeling better. This is when the the caffeine and Advil were kicking in. And I started feeling a little bit better on that one. And I finished the little loop in 6 hours and 30 minutes, which means it took me, that's interesting. That means it took me 2 hours to do the 5 and 3 again. Something doesn't seem right here. Oh no, yeah, something doesn't seem right here. But it took me about 2 hours to do the 5 and 3 again, which is about what I did it the first time. Something's not feeling quite right here. I don't think I have these times perfectly well. But anyway, about 6.5 hours-ish. And all I had left was one more 5-mile loop, the final 5-mile loop. And I was thinking, well, maybe I can break 8 hours. Random number, right? Totally random. But I thought maybe I can break 8 hours because that'd be an hour and a half. And I did the first 5-mile loop in an hour and 15 minutes. So I thought, well, maybe I can finish in 8 hours. And actually then I was starting to feel quite good. I felt better the 4th time I ran the 5-mile loop than the 3rd time. It was during the 3rd time that I took the caffeine and Advil. So I was feeling better. And I actually felt like I was running faster in some spots. Part of this is just that I knew it was the last one. I think mentally that played a role. Maybe that's why I was also feeling better. So here's what was funny. Again, 8 hours doesn't mean anything, right? But it's a number and you start putting it in your mind. You thought, hey, let's try to break 8 hours. So I'm running pretty well. And I was like less than 2 miles from the finish. Now, it should be known, they do an amazing thing at this race, which is a friend of David's, and I'm sorry I don't know his name, goes out and they clear all the leaves off the course because it's October. All the leaves have fallen and covered up all your rocks and roots, making it more treacherous. They'll go out with a air blower thing and shoo off all the leaves off the course, which I think is hilarious and amazing and wonderful for the runners, right? So, excuse me, coughing again. Sorry about that. Which is wonderful for the runners. Very cool, right? So I have less than 2 miles to go, and I have to take a left at this one spot. I blow right by it. I get on this trail, and I look down, and there's leaves all over this trail. Now, this is how incredibly dumb I was at that moment, because I look down at the trail, there's a bunch of leaves on it, and somehow in my head, I'm thinking, wow, a lot of leaves sure fell on this trail in the last couple of hours. Yeah, that's what I thought. And the funny thing is, a local legend named Al Eder was right behind me. I just passed him, I think. He was the other one with poles. And he followed me. This guy has run Stone Steps well over 10 times. And yet he followed me, which is hilarious. He was obviously just kind of zoning out as well. And he followed me onto this. And I remember I ran like 200 yards. I actually turned around. I stopped, turned around, looked at Alan and said, it's amazing there's so many leaves on the trail here. A lot really fell during the race. Al just kind of like, yeah. So we both run a good half mile. I get to like just an end. And the whole time I'm thinking there's flags are missing. The course is very well marked, by the way. Very well marked. Turns and flagging, everything. And I'm noticing the flags are missing. But, you just go brain dead. So I run like a half mile down to like kind of a dead end. I'm like, this is wrong. Al, we screwed up. So we turn around and run back. We find the spot where we should have turned, which of course is clear of leaves. The left we should have taken, totally clear of leaves. And so then we keep running to the finish. Probably lost a good 10 minutes. And I finished the race in 8:05:28. So running the wrong way cost me the 8-hour finish, as though it matters. Al finished right behind me around 8:08, by the way. So that was kind of hilarious and incredibly stupid. How in the world I thought all of a sudden leaves just fell on this one tiny portion of the course. I don't know, but that's what you do sometimes. And like I said, I was running really well. That's the problem. I just was running well and like, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get this under 8 hours. Anyway, there you go. So my final time, like I said, was 8:05:28. I was 49th of 63 overall. So as you can see, well toward the back. I can try to blame the 100K 9 days earlier and definitely not being recovered. That's only part of it, maybe only a little part. I am just not good at technical courses, especially if they have technical downhills. And this has plenty of that. I interviewed Connie, and she made it out like this was practically a flat course. Not that big a deal. She's a much stronger runner than I am when it comes to things like that. Because to me, it was a lot of up and down. It was very technical. I don't really mind going uphill at all. It doesn't hurt to go uphill, but obviously you're not going as fast. But the downhills I just can't do, especially if it's technical. If it's downhill on a road and it's not, or a smooth downhill on a trail, I'm great at that, but wow, so what? But if it gets steep and or technical, especially a combination of the two, I'm lost. I actually just walk. Not only do I walk, but I walk slower downhill than I would turning around and going up it. And I don't think I'm joking there. I can walk up a steep technical hill faster than I can walk down it. It's just the way I am. A couple other comments. The poles, again, were useful going up the steps and going up the hills. I got a lot of use out of those. As I mentioned in my last episode, I'm still not good at going downhill with them. I don't really get how to plant them in such a way that you get a lot of benefit. I interviewed Adam Page last time, and he does get a lot of benefit out of them, and I don't. Not yet. Maybe I will someday, but there you go. Just when I go downhill, nothing seems to work, and unfortunately the poles don't seem to help much either. What did I wear? I wore my Hoka Speed Goats again, which are still too narrow, but they work. I had my Timothy Olsen Ultimate Direction vest with 2 bottles up front. Of course, you're going by a lot, so I didn't have to fill them up every time or anything like that. What did we get for this race? First of all, we got a bib, and I'll hold that up to the camera. For those of you who don't know, I took a YouTube video of this, and I eventually posted on YouTube. I am way behind. My last 2 shows are still not up there, but so we've got a bib, and it's a bib that says Stone Steps 50K, and I am number 56. Got that. We got a shirt. For $40, it's amazing you get anything. But we do get a shirt. Let's see. It's a brown cotton shirt. On the front, it says Cincinnati, Ohio, Stone Steps, 27K, 50K, 2018. It's got like kind of a Sasquatch type guy running it. So that's nice. Short sleeve shirt. And then the finishers got a medal. It's a ceramic medal. It's pretty nice. I like it. It says Stone Steps 50K finisher. So the 50K finishers get their own medal. 2018. It's got a little runner guy on it. So I like that medal. So that's what you get. It's not a ton of stuff, but you paid $40. You shouldn't get anything. So I'm pretty happy with that. The winners were, of the 50K, David Riddle. Again, he's 37 of Cincinnati. He did it in 4:07:55. Yes, he beat me by 4 hours. He did it in almost half the time. If you do not know who David Riddle is, he's an honest-to-goodness elite ultra runner. He holds the course record here. He's done it in 3:40:56, 3 hours and 40 minutes 56, which is well under half of what I did. He did that in 2011. He's won this race numerous times. He's got the top 3 times for the race. And he's won other races as well nationally. So he's an up to 100 miles. He's an extremely accomplished runner, one of our elite ultra runners in the area. And he's the one, like I said, went flying by me, just like nothing. Whatever is under his feet doesn't bother him. Just runs like there's nothing, like it's flat. The female winner, as I mentioned, was Katie Ruhlman. She's 28 of Dayton, Ohio. She did it in 4:41:09. She also almost beat me by 4 hours. Both David and Katie got $100 for winning, but Katie set the course record. She was second overall, by the way. So David's the only male who beat her. So she got $200 for the day. Pretty nice, huh? 100 plus 100. The 25K was won by 27K was won by Nathan Stewart. He's 36 of Cincinnati, 2:19:56. Wow, that's pretty fast. Kathleen Woods won the 27K for the females. She's 28 of Mason, Ohio, 2:55:09. So there you go. There's my coverage of the race in general. I have an interview with my friend Connie Colita. Everybody in the area knows Connie's super, super, super nice. Extremely humble. She talks about, she makes it out like I'm this superstar ultra runner, which is not the case compared to her. I'd say we're really equal. We're really similar. Our times were almost identical for the Stone Steps 50K. And if you listen to what she's done, pretty similar runner. Well, her issue is she hasn't done a 100-miler yet, but she's come very, very close, and she will get that. I have done them, but I'm always right at the cutoff, kind of. I'm barely finishing them. So that's why I say, well, I think we're really quite similar runners. I think if it's a hilly technical course, she's absolutely my equal for sure. But anyway, let's go ahead and listen to my interview with Connie. I did make some edits where I'm kind of rambling or coughing or something's going on. So you'll hear those. I don't make pretty edits. It's kind of a chop, and then we continue on. So there are a few edits in here. But let's listen to my interview with Connie right here. Okay, I'm here with Connie Colita. I am at, where I'm at, Jackrabbit, right?
You are at Jackrabbit, O'Brienville, formerly Bob Ronker's running spot.
All right, now it's Jackrabbit in Cincinnati, Ohio. Talking about Stone Steps 50K. Mm-hmm. All right, so my first question is, had you ever run that race before?
I had run that race 3 times previously. This was my 4th time. So
always the 50K or what?
Yeah. Well, I figure if you're going to get up that early on a Sunday morning, let's make it worth it. Yeah. But, everyone has an opinion. So, yeah. So if I'm going to go out there early, I want to be out there all day.
Do you know... of the 4 that you did, do you know what your best time was? Do you happen to know that?
Now, I am slow. I just am, but I usually get the job done. So it was something like 8:10, I would say.
That's about what I just did it in, I think. Yeah. We were only like 10 minutes apart, our times.
Yeah, I mean, It depends on the conditions, right? It can be muddy as heck, or it can be dry as heck. You just don't know at the end of October.
Okay.
Yeah, you and I were hanging at that race.
Yeah. Have you done it like 4 years in a row? Or
I
not?
actually did, because I heard about it when I started working here at the Running Spot in the summer of 2015. They were like, oh yeah, there's this kind of tough 50K in the fall.
Right.
So I ended up I did it 15, 16, 17, and now. I love it. I mean, I can't stop doing it.
You will get that 10-year thing, and then you get to run for free for the rest of your life or something, right? Is it something like that?
Which would be fantastic, but you have to admit the something like $35
exactly.
price for
you might as well just pay it anyway.
You might as well just pay it and support the group, because it's such a great deal. As you know, it's such a great race.
Yeah, it's not worth even not paying for that price.
You would actually feel badly. That
no.
Yeah. No, you can never find a better 50K for $35.
Right.
It's wonderful.
Okay, let's go over race day. Any way you want to do it. How did your day go out there?
Well, it's so funny because you and I are both out there together, so I'm sure we were kind of, sort of feeling some of the same things. But again, the first thing is always like, okay, what are the weather conditions? And, I work at a running store, so I'm obsessed with, well, what shoes are appropriate for the day, right? And so Dave Korfman, who of course is the race director, who we love, and all the Cincinnati and Dayton and Northern Kentucky runners come to support his race, had sent out, what did he do? He posted on Facebook beforehand, and he was like, okay, it's muddy, there's gonna be carnage. So I was like, okay, what is the grippiest trail shoe that I own? So I actually went with the Salomon Speedcross 3, which is just totally grippy. Right. So shoes, I think that's appropriate first, and then just kind of go on out there. And then what's the temperature? Right. So I mean, it was a little warmer than last year. I would say it was 39 at the start. That's not bad. Yeah. So just kind of a couple layers and off to the races we go. Right.
So you have the two different types of loops. How did you handle all of the up and down? It's endless kind of up and down and steps and rocks and, of course, the stone steps.
So as you know...
That we get to do 4 times, right?
Right. That's a full day.
Right.
So as you know, the course is in a figure 8.
Yeah.
The top of the figure 8 is about 5.3 miles.
Right.
That's what features the stone steps right in the middle, pretty much.
Yeah.
Then you have the bottom of the figure 8, which is about 3.3 miles. And we all make the mistake that the bottom half of the loop is right, and it's going to be so easy. It's not. It's rolling as well. So, you basically you can alternate, starting with the large loop, and then you go to the small. You do the large 4 times. You do the small 3 times. And it's kind of funny because I don't know about you, but sometimes I totally forget what loop I'm on, what's going on.
I'm so anal about remembering. I just repeat.
Do you write it down or put it in your phone?
I repeat it to myself endlessly. I'm on loop 2. I'm on loop 2. I'm on loop 2.
But that's good, right? So that you know where you are.
Yeah, I always do that.
You're smarter than I am.
Yeah,
I was just I think what? Which way
it's kind of an OCD thing or something.
Well, I understand that completely. I get you there. So it's not flat. There's some, you got to admit, some runnable sections on the back half of the big loop. So that's why people have some really fast times there.
Yeah.
They are flying on this course, and I just look at them and I'm like, how are you doing this? Because I think it definitely challenges me personally. Yeah. But these people are out there crushing it, and I'm so impressed. And I love to see all of our friends from, all the local area, and it's just kind of a party.
So I didn't think it was horribly muddy, but there was mud, there was rocks. Are you okay with mud and rocks running on that, or are you klutz like I am?
A lot of people say, I remember when I first started running this, everyone falls at stone steps. And I did fall a couple times the first 2 years. I didn't fall last time, but I trip constantly, right?
Yeah.
There are a lot of rocks in that, maybe the first mile of the big loop. I think they actually call it Ankle Breaker Alley, right? Yeah. Because
there's these rocks that stick out of the trail at odd angles.
Out. Absolutely. So you're really picking up your feet. So I just think that's something to remember. And then the uphill and downhill, I don't know. I'm pretty good at power hiking uphill. Downhill, just kind of trashes your quads, but you do it anyway. And it's just it's such a, I don't know, I never get tired of running at Mount Airy. I don't know about you.
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
Isn't it great?
Yeah.
It's so close, and it's
perfect for training as well. If you have anything hilly coming up.
I agree. It's perfect. So I think that's why another reason people like to do this race.
Were you able to keep a pretty steady pace all day, or were you dying like the last couple of loops or anything?
I actually think that I don't know, maybe I'm just really slow because I don't really die. I'm kind of steady. I mean, that's probably bad because it's steady slow, but really I'm kind of, I think it's like a frickin' 16-minute trail mile there,
right.
And it pretty much did not vary.
Well, it just means you know your final pace, so you start with it.
That works sometimes, and sometimes for other races I'll miss a cutoff or two. But hey, at Stone Steps it works. You can do it with it. Because they're out there for 8 or 9 hours. Yeah. So I mean, and Dave Korfman, obviously he wants all of us to finish. He's not, for the most part, going to boot you off the course.
Right.
He really wants you to finish and enjoy and all of that, which I think is great.
I was actually a little worried about that when I started. I thought, I don't mind doing poorly. What I don't want is to be that last person that everybody's all waiting for. They want to go home, but they're waiting for me.
Which is so funny because I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I feel like you don't get that impression at that race.
No.
Even though it can be kind of cold. I still don't think they've got like one foot in their cars, like, come on, Tim, or whatever, I mean, I just think that they're very laid back and they're waiting for you at the finish and they give you some soup, which is amazing.
Right.
And, they say, hey, congratulations. So I think it's a great vibe.
So do you enjoy going up these stone steps?
Well, I learned from Beth Bauer, ultra runner extraordinaire here in our area. I mean, she does she does step repeats. She'll do the steps like 20 times.
Whoa.
Oh, she's a beast, right?
Yeah.
So the way I answer that is that I kind of started trying to mimic what she did. So I like the steps. I like going up the steps, but just as importantly, going down the steps. Like, I don't want people to make the mistake that I did when I first started, quote unquote, training for like distance running. I only went up. And then I would get to a 100-miler and be like, oh my God, why do my quads literally feel like they're blowing out? Oh, because they were. So the downhill is just as important. So really, plenty of people going to Mount Airy, they're doing Stone Steps repeats, and then there's those power lines, too, that plenty of elevation, like you said, can get you prepared for a lot of races.
Do you have any way that you do it? Like, did you put your hands on your knees and just push?
I love that you asked this question because I'm constantly asking our people, how do you go up a hill? Which sounds so easy.
And this hill, people should know.
So
Stone Steps in particular, you have, first of all, you go halfway up and you think you're on the stone steps.
And you're not even on the steps.
You're not on the steps yet. You've already been going for like 5 minutes. Then you actually hit the steps, and the steps are not regular steps.
And then you look up.
Sometimes the step is like up to your knee. It's
true.
so high.
They
and
are
then
not regular.
They're very irregular steps.
God, this is such a good question. So from what people have said, you can like maybe put a hand or two behind your back and just kind of like lean into the hill and go up that way. You can put your hands like on your quads, which some people think is comfortable, and other people don't like to lean into hill at all. They just go straight so that their lungs can get some air, and they just use their arms, and they go right up the hill.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's like if you try all three methods, I really feel like there's going to be one of those methods for you personally that is the most comfortable.
Yeah.
And so I personally usually run with a dog, so I'm carrying a dog leash. So I'll put like one hand behind my back, and I'll use the other hand to kind of like back and forth. And I think that seems to help. But
I've never thought of a hand on the back thing. I'm a hands on the knees guy.
See, there you go. You're a hands on the knees guy.
Yeah.
I'm a hand on the back gal. But you don't know until you try out these
Here's
things.
another thing. Can you see if this question even makes sense to you?
I'm going to love it.
Can you look up while you're going up the hill? And there's a reason I ask that. For me, the reason is it's torture. If I look up and I see I'm not at the top of the hill, it's torture. I don't want to know where the top of the hill is. So I will purposely look only about 3 feet above my own
I'm totally
feet
right there with you.
the whole way, because the last thing I want to do is look up and realize I'm still nowhere near the top.
Yeah, like maybe down if we were at a Lazarus race or something and you're doing a 2,000-foot climb up, whatever, rat jaw or whatever they say. Yeah, no, I don't want to know.
It's the same thing when the course has course mile markers. I hate it when I get to the point where I'm looking up trying to find the next mile marker.
Yeah.
That's when I know I'm really tired.
That's true.
Bad.
That's true.
If I'm just looking 30 feet ahead, I know I'm okay. But as soon as I start looking a half a mile down the road for the course marker, then I know I'm really tired.
I'm right there with you. Just eyes down. I don't know. Just keep powering up the hill.
The thing about Stone Steps, so we did it enough that I realized there was this blue pipe on the right.
Yes.
And I knew when you hit the blue pipe,
Yes.
you're only like 30 feet from the top.
Yes.
So I was really happy every
Yes.
time I saw the blue pipe.
Yes, and then there's also when you if you do kind of cheat and look up, there's kind of that kind of like totem pole looking thing at the top.
See, I never even saw that.
Oh my God! Next time, go see it. Because when it looks like a cross, but it looks either like a cross or a totem pole, and if you do see that, you're really almost there. So, but I don't know. I feel like the steps go very quickly. I don't know. I just kind of enjoy them, but it's a couple minutes of some effort.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
I think,
actually like going up to.
Yes.
I cannot run down to save my life. I'm really bad. I just horrible.
Well, everything's fine until you fall. You kind of don't want to do that. No, I think everyone should. And the funny thing about Mount Airy, right? It's not well marked at all. So I usually train there a lot of the summer, and you'll get these people who, of course, have hikers or whatever. They've never been there before.
Right.
They have no idea where they are.
Yeah, I'm a little. I don't get down there that much.
Yeah.
So when I go there and I'm trying to run the course, I get lost. And
it is
confused.
not well marked.
And all of a sudden, I do the steps, and then all of a sudden, I'm at the steps again, and then I can't find Gummy Bear Hill to save my life.
Look, kids, Big Ben, Parliament.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Gummy Bear Hill, right? That's pretty much.
That's a massive hill too.
That's at the end of the loop.
Yeah.
So yeah, and well, let's not forget that Stone Steps is not the only hill on the big loop.
It's just one of a few.
Gummy Bear Hill, yeah. I mean,
and there's even one on the 3.3 mile loop, that long one you go before you hit kind of this grassy area.
Totally.
It's not a hard hill, but it's still long and steady.
And that's the one.
You hit that grassy area, then you have to run down and up that little gully.
That's the one where you think, oh my God, this is great. It's the short loop. It's going to be easy. I'm going to take a break from the big loop. No.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's good. But that's what's great. It just challenges you. Like every step is, to me, it's a workout.
Have you ever, you probably don't do this because you know it well enough, but on the small loop, it's actually kind of a lollipop. You come out, you run this first part that's kind of two-way, and then you go left and you run through kind of the road a little bit and feel. You come back.
Yeah, the Frisbee golf, right?
Yes, and you have to take a really sharp left to get back onto the lollipop stem. Have you ever missed that?
I think that's the long
People
loop,
miss that all the time.
Well, right. All the time, and people missed it this year. Again,
I saved one
not
guy.
because it wasn't well marked, but it's literally. I think I know exactly what you're talking about. It's an extremely hard left,
yes.
and the pole right there says Quarry Trail, and that's the pole that people miss.
I don't even recall that.
Next time you go,
but the very
take
first
a look.
time, this is my second time running it. The very first time I missed that, and I ran down luckily
you
like 200
you kept
yards,
going straight. That's exactly
back to
what
the
you
Frisbee
did.
thing again.
Exactly.
And I caught a guy this time doing that. He came out, or he was ahead of me. We were just about to make the sharp left down, and he started running to the Frisbee thing. So I yelled at him.
I'm pretty sure I know exactly where,
Yeah. And it's well marked, but it's just such a sharp left.
But you're kind of in the zone or whatever you're doing, I don't know, singing a song in your head, and you just keep going straight and you miss the left, That's the only part I think is tricky.
Okay, so when you finished, you felt okay? You didn't feel too destroyed?
I personally, like I say, it just kind of happens to be my quote-unquote home training course. 2, 3, 4 days a week, I'm kind of there, and
very nice.
I bring the dog, and I just feel real. I honestly would say I feel like I know every rock and route at this point.
Yeah.
But it's a nice familiarity, and it still gets me. I still trip. I still fall. But I enjoy knowing those loops, and I just love it. I think it's wonderful that we have it right here in Cincinnati, and it's not far from downtown.
Anyone
It's beautiful.
visiting Cincinnati should go run that. You told me what shoes you wore. What about any other gear? Anything else you wore or used that's kind of interesting? Hydration pack or anything?
I work at a running store, but stuff is still expensive, and it's so funny. It reminds me of Randy Creel, right? Randy Sandals. We're always talking about budgets, right? Because there is always like so many races and so little money, and you want to sign up for everything, but every dollar kind of adds up. So by the time you decide I want to sign up for this, and I want gas money and transportation and all that, then you're like, okay, well, gosh, I need shoes, I need gear. So even though I work at a running store, I mean, no offense to homeless people, but I almost look homeless out there because I don't have a ton of quality running gear because it gets expensive.
Yeah.
And so I just usually end up layering.
Yeah.
So
That's what I do.
because really, as the day goes on, you can take a layer off, but you still got a few layers on.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there are just women and men in our group who just look so fantastic out there, and sometimes there's a photographer out there, and they get these perfect race pictures, and I look homeless. But
did you have a race jacket with you? Because there was a thread of rain, and I think it sprinkled.
Oh my gosh, for 5
mess.
minutes.
Yes, for like 5 minutes.
Well, the good thing about this race, as you know, you can have a drop bag right there at the aid station.
Yeah, you go by it 100 times.
You go by it 100 times, because it's in the middle of
I
that
actually
figure
used
eight.
my car. My car was right on the path, so
that's
I
wonderful.
got in my car every time.
And
So
it's
kinda
great. It's always it always helps, right, mentally, to just have everything you need.
Yeah.
So I just brought a bunch of stuff. I don't know. I brought a couple duffel bags and threw, But I did feel comfortable with my clothing choices and my shoe choices, and it just kind of worked out.
So did you have a hydration pack or bottles? How'd you carry liquids?
I'm an idiot. I hate carrying like anything more than a quarter, like literally a quarter. I just mentally feel like it gets so heavy. So I'm awful with a hydration pack.
Yeah.
And I knew that it was going to be kind of cool out. So I didn't use anything for like the first, I don't know, maybe
you ran
5,
the first
6 hours.
5 miles without drinking anything.
Yes, because I'm kind of a camel, and I've gotten to the point
I'm a
where
sipper. I need something all the time.
sipping is good. You don't want
I'm
to
a
drink,
sipper.
sip, right? Like they say at Mohican 100, sip and
yeah.
nibble.
That's
You
what I
don't
am.
want to eat and drink.
Yeah.
That's Roy Hager, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Sip and nibble. God loves Roy Hager. So, I mean, for me, like, I don't know, it was just fine. But obviously, most people have the packs, and I love, like, seeing what everyone's carrying and stuff. Now, granted, if we were talking Mohican 100 and it was 90 degrees, yes, absolutely. But I think sometimes you can get away with maybe carrying something, sometimes not. I had maybe, like, a handheld for the last
I mean, I
week.
agree. I could have, but I don't know. Just out of habit, I put the hydration vest on just to practice with it anyway.
Absolutely, right? But and again, it changes every race because the weather's changing or whatever. So,
What about what'd you eat during the race?
well, I'm cheap, so I will eat whatever they have
Right.
because I paid for the registration.
Did you bring any gels?
No.
Aid station food.
So me, aid station food. Well, as we were discussing, you and I, that Beth Bauer and Walker Smith were manning the aid station with their sombreros,
Right.
again, and they made amazing PB&J squares. So I would grab a couple of those. I will say that for me personally, as with a lot of us in the group, real food is where it's at. I don't know. I just kind of don't really personally do gels anymore.
Right.
I would rather have a PB&J or something like trail mix. I don't know.
So just whatever feels right when you get to the aid station.
Yeah, I mean, whatever they have, I'm kind of grabbing.
That's good.
I don't know. Sometimes that works, and sometimes your plan goes to crap because it's either too warm or too. You never
Right,
know.
right.
But I'll just kind of grab what they have and try to keep moving. So
Okay. All right, so you got through Stone Steps. Now, if I'm correct,
Great race.
6 days later, as long as you have you here, 6 days later you did the Conquer the Castle 100K. Is that right? Sunday and
yes,
Saturday?
but again,
Which seems crazy to me.
No, realize that. I mean, I try really hard at these things, but I've tried to finish a 100-miler 5 times, and I have DNF'd 5 times on account of cutoffs. I mean, I feel great, but I just am a little slow for cutoffs. So I am not like you guys who have finished 100, but I will tell you on this podcast, I'm going to finish one next year. I'm going to do it. But anyway, I just feel like I felt fine. Like, and I'm not even sure I was the only person.
You mean at Conquer the Castle?
Yeah,
so
man.
Conquer the Castle's up near Cleveland,
So
right?
Conquer the Castle
Do you
is
know
near
why it's
Cleveland.
called Conquer the Castle? Is there a castle?
I actually do know that because I grew up 15 minutes from the castle.
Oh, that's right. You were visiting relatives.
I
Okay,
was.
cool.
Like, I have family up there, right? So Squires Castle is it was back in the days. Remember, like, Cleveland has such a rich oil history, right? Standard Oil and the Rockefellers, and I mean, it's just fantastic.
Sure.
And so one of the people from back in that era with Standard Oil built this castle, Squires Castle, as a residence, which of course rich people never end up really living in these huge mansions that they build.
Right.
So he built this thing and never really ended up living in it, but it's beautiful. And of course it's a shell now. But it is the start, as you may know, of the Burning River 100-miler.
I didn't know that, actually,
It is. It's the
okay.
start. But in this race, Conquer the Castle, it's honestly halfway through the 16-mile loop. But you are literally seeing there's a castle. And it's wonderful.
So
It's-
16-mile loop, you did it 4 times.
I guess that is what it is. So it's about what, 63?
64, a little extra.
Yeah,
63,
something like that.
64.
But it's honestly, I have to say, in my opinion, the trail is very similar to Mount Airy. So again, going back to the fact that Mount Airy gets you prepared for so many races. It's wonderful. Yeah. So the race director up there, Eddie Carrig, right, and his wife Suzanne, they've run here at Mount Airy. They have family here in Cincinnati. They love Cincinnati running. We love Cleveland running. It's a nice kind of sort of give and take sort of thing that we have going on with Cleveland.
Yeah.
So
it sounds like it's a pretty tough race then if it's similar to Mount Airy as far as terrain goes.
I think it depends. I think this is maybe the 4th year that they did it. It was only the first year that I have. I don't know, decided to try it. But I can say we had calf-deep mud, standing water.
Yeah, that's right. I was watching
standing water in mud in standing water. It was pretty darn soupy, I have to say.
You got through that. I'm impressed.
I have to say. Well, again, it's shoe choice. It's shoe choice.
What'd you wear there?
That one, the only, and I've been working with trail shoes for 3.5 years now. The only other shoe that I personally, again, everyone has an opinion, that I personally feel is as grippy as the Salomon Speedcross series is the Ultra, right? Yeah. King MT. Holy crap.
I haven't tried that one yet.
You have to. It's so grippy you'll actually be on the ground because it grips so well. But I wore that. I sailed up the hills.
Oh, very interesting.
Yeah, and the downhills, just as importantly. So just a thought for if you have not tried the King MT, try the King MT.
I will. Did you carry hydration in that race?
I'm trying to remember. I don't even...
Do you know, like, roughly how far the aid stations were?
They were... It's kind of the typical... I think it was...
4 miles, maybe 3 on the course or something?
Yeah,
like
I think it was 4, 5, 6 miles apart, maybe. But again, it was pretty cold.
Yeah.
And so I didn't really drink that much. And, they had wonderful aid stations. Oh, my gosh. Ramen noodles, vegetable soup, potato soup. So when you were going overnight in, 36 degrees, which I guess isn't that cold, but it was kind of cold.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. The soup was a lifesaver. So the cutoff, I made cutoffs. The cutoff was 20 hours.
Yes.
And I think I did, what did I do? 18 or 18 and a half. So for me, it was a little faster than I thought.
It's not like you're completely freaking out that you weren't going to make it.
I
maybe a little in the back of your mind thought if you had a bad stretch or something.
And as you guys all know, you guys have finished hundreds, but there's 100% difference between running a race when you know you're going to make the cutoffs and when you know you're chasing cutoffs.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's true.
Not very enjoyable when you're chasing them from the start.
Yeah.
Super enjoyable if you're pretty good to go. And I just felt that we were okay.
But often you don't know that till 75% of the race is done, that you're not going to be chasing.
That's
that
true,
makes any
but
sense.
yes, but
because you always think maybe I'm going to have a big crash.
I'm slow, but I personally am so steady. I do have
That's
an
good.
idea.
See, I'm not
I do have an idea of where I am.
Maybe I am. I don't know.
So I was running with my running buddy John, who lives up there, and we've run a couple of these together. And so we just chatted through the whole night and busted it out. We had a headlamp and a handheld, and I mean, you're talking the usual pitch dark out there, but. Man, we had a good time.
When you are done with a hilly race like Stone Steps or that one, what hurts the most? Any particular body parts? Feet, knees, butt, quads, back?
Ankles. Just me personally. Yeah, I don't know
everyone's different.
I don't know what all of you 100-mile finishers would say. I mean, but for me personally, on something like that where you're literally talking mud that moves all the time, ankles. Yeah. But really, I felt fine. Like quads don't even notice anything anymore.
Our friend Annetta did conquer the castle, right? She probably kicked ass.
She's kicked ass.
She's probably like 13 or something.
She did it. The unstoppable Helen Guerin.
Oh, yeah.
They both crushed it.
Yeah.
Because that's what they do.
That's what they do, yeah.
So we need to give a shout out to Annetta and Helen.
Annetta Zappatella. I like saying her name.
It's incredible.
It's great.
And the unstoppable Helen Guerin. They crush everything they try.
Helen Guerin has done like 5 Indiana 100s.
Helen Guerin has done...
And she's done Georgia Death Race like 4 times.
They've done Cruel Jewel.
Hellgate.
Yes!
They did the new one in North Carolina, Hellbender.
Yeah.
Or Annetta did. Then she did the Ute 100.
But then you got... but that's our group.
They're amazing.
We are so lucky to know personally have met and talked with people who crush 100-milers, but not only that, are willing to talk with you about maybe something that you could learn or do differently or improve for next time.
That's true.
We are so fortunate to have our group, the Studs, online, slowly training for ultra distances. That doesn't necessarily mean always finishing ultra distances, but we're training. I have learned so much from all of you that it touches my heart how happy I am to have met people in this group.
A lot of nice people.
Oh,
I agree. Cincinnati's got a pretty good little running scene. Cincinnati, Dayton.
Northern Kentucky.
Yeah. Okay, last question. What's coming up? Anything? You signed up for anything or thinking of signing up for anything?
I'm just really not sure yet. I mean, I just don't know. So you never really know, right? How much money you have for these things. My husband and I are actually planning a non-running trip.
Those exist?
Yeah, I know. It kind of sucks, but it kind of doesn't. But
that must be a cruise then. That's the
no.
only thing
We're going to Machu Picchu. We're going to Peru for 2 weeks.
Jog too there. I'd love.
I want to do the Inca Trail.
Yeah.
I would really like to.
Isn't that where you need permission though?
You just need to. Yes, they need to know how many people are on the trail and at the sites and everything. But the reason I mention this is that, saving up for a kind of a bigger trip like that, a couple weeks, 2.5 weeks, that sort of eats into the race budget.
That's true.
So I really don't know.
Which hundreds are at least in your head?
Right. I don't know yet. I don't know. I'm so I just want to try them all. I really don't know yet.
Yeah.
So what are you thinking?
I am still working on my spring calendar. I think my daughter and I are going to do a race down near Atlanta. I've been trying to drag her to a race in the South every winter.
Oh, that's nice.
Just to make an excuse to hang out with my daughter. So we might do this.
Because she's down there.
No, she lives in Iowa.
Oh, jeez.
So to try to sneakily spend more time with her, I've been dragging her down south.
You guys have to get out of the cold and go south.
Yeah, so I would take her. So we might go to Atlanta and do a race in February. It's a 50K, but I think we're going to do a relay.
And it's got to be a little warmer.
It's like Thrill in the Hills or something. I forget what it's called. All right, well, that's good.
Yay!
Good job on Stone Steps.
Thank you. And you too. Good job on Stone Steps.
Yeah. Actually, that was my second time, but I only did the 25K. The year before, I was injured, I think, or something. So I did maybe it was 2 years ago. I did the 25K, but I wasn't up to.
You know what?
Snuff.
I think anytime you're out at Mount Airy, you're putting in a good workout, and that is a plus.
Yeah.
Got to keep moving.
It's pretty amazing. You mentioned, I was going to get back to this, watching some of those people, both David Riddle and the first girl.
Oh, my God.
I hate when I say girl. The first
female.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Passed me kind of on a downhill. On the first loop, kind of the downhill you're going down before you're going to go back up the Gummy. She was every
knees?
step had to be 15
Do they?
feet.
Yes.
She leaped 15 feet at a time at full speed.
They're not walking up the hills.
I don't think their feet
they
actually
have knees.
physically hit the ground. They've got their feet land about 4 or 5 inches above earth, and then they go up again. There's no way their ankles should be completely broken.
But that's why it's so awesome. We're there to see these types of runners in person, and I am not that type of runner, and I never will be.
David Riddle just flew by me,
and he's so nice though. He's always like, hey, good job, and you're like, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Twice My Pace.
It's true though, but I mean. Right, there's just all paces out there, but it's really they're deer is what they are, and it's beauty.
Goats.
It's beauty to see
really
runners running trail like that.
Yeah.
It never gets old.
I can't
so
even
congrats to the podium finishers at Stone Steps 50K because wow,
all right,
it's wonderful. Thank you.
Well, thanks again. I'm sure I will see you soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Nice to see you.
Bye-bye. Okay, there you go. A few things. First of all, Jack Rabbit is the name of the running store she works at. Also, I forgot to mention when I was talking about the race, the nice thing about all these loops and one little lollipop or out and back for the lollipop is you see people a lot. So I saw Connie 4 times during the race. So it's kind of neat. You're pretty much going to see, theoretically, you wouldn't have to see everyone, but you will see a lot of people a number of times, which is always kind of nice, which is also true at the Mines of Spain that I did last time. When I talked about the course there, it's a really convoluted course with loops, various loops, and various out and backs. that was neat too. You saw people over and over and over. So I had some friends, and I just saw them multiple times. And like I said, Ann Trayson was there, so I saw her about 3 or 4 times out on the course. So it's kind of fun when, it's nice to have a point-to-point. It's nice to have one big loop. I love those. I love them. But how many people will you never see, right? You see them at the start, and that's it. You never see them again. So that's only negative about point-to-points and out and big single loops. Multiple loops has their own issues as well. You get kind of tired of the same thing maybe, but you get to see people a lot, which is kind of fun. What else? She said during that, like, Mount Airy is not well marked. I hope you understood that means not during the race. Just if you go down there to run, it's kind of hard to know what trail you're on. I don't think they have trails like, an orange trail and a blue trail or anything like that. So when I go down there to run, I tend to get lost a little bit. I mean, you can only get so lost. You're not going to get stranded. But I keep trying to, run the course. And if I don't really do it because I don't sit there and study it that well. I just kind of hope I can do it, and usually I can't. But the race itself was perfectly marked. No problems. And if I haven't said it yet, I was completely trashed at the end of this race. My quads were completely shot. Connie went and did 100K 6 days later. There was no way on earth I would have done that Conquer the Castle race 6 days later. Would not have been possible. Anyway, thank you, Connie, for that. Is she not like the nicest and funnest person you've ever heard? Really super, super nice. Thank you for letting me interview you. I didn't know all of the names she mentioned. She mentioned some local people. I'm sure I've seen them, but sometimes I don't always know their names. Some of them I did, some of the Ohio and local people I did know them. Like I said, Connie kind of acts like she's really slow, but we were only 10 minutes apart at this race. And then she went on and did 100K 6 days later. So she's a good runner. And I'm sure she'll get that 100-miler in. It's pretty easy just to, miss closely many times. But eventually you'll get there. The Conquer the Castle race, I do remember following that race as it happened. The conditions were absolutely horrendous. So the fact that she not only did the 100K 6 days later, but did it in pretty hard conditions is doubly impressive. I'm glad I didn't try it. So anyway, thank you again, Connie. I will see you on the trails, I'm sure. And that wraps up today's show. The next show will be about the Tunnel Hill 100. I have another interview of 2 of my friends. So stay tuned for that. Remember, again, I'll put this on YouTube eventually. Could be 3 months from now. I have no idea. But it's for anyone who doesn't do podcasts. And finally, you can find out more information about me at runsmith.net, RUNSMITH, runsmith.net. Email, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. My email is chemsmith1@gmail.com, like the beginning of the word chemistry, CHEM, Smith, and the number 1, chemsmith1@gmail.com. Send me an email, anything. Tell me about yourself. What are you training for? Have you done any of the races I talk about? Anything you'd like me to talk about? Just say hi, what's up, and I'll be happy to read it on the show. You can even send me an MP3. I'll play it on the show. By the way, if you'd like to donate, you can. I have a donation spot at patreon.com/runsmith. I just spent $160 on the website that I put the show notes on. So there are costs. Every single month I pay Libsyn because they host the MP3 itself, that the file that the podcast episode is on. I pay them every single month. I have a domain name to pay for, so I do pay money. So feel free, if you donate $5, you'd be my hero. And I will announce your name if you do that. So patreon.com/runsmith. And that's all for today. I'll talk to you next time. This is Runsmith Enterprises presenting Topics in Endurance Sports, signing out. Have a fun workout.